Right, g'day folks. I've been asked to explain some of the problems in question 7 of exercise 2B on adding and subtracting surds. So look, there should be a basic idea that's always in the back of our mind whenever we look at a question that involves surds. What we should always be on the hunt for is the square numbers. Now recall what the square numbers are. So we don't bother with 1 because it's just a trivial case and doesn't really help us out at all. But 2 squared, that's not going to do us much good, is it? Sorry. So 2 squared is 4, 3 squared is 9, 4 squared is 16, 5 squared is 25, 6 squared is 36, etc., so on and so forth. So we want to keep an eye out for these square numbers because they always help us when it comes to simplifying any question that involves surds, adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing. Okay? So let's have a look and see how they can help us out. I'm looking at question 7, exercise 2B in the Cambridge Maths textbook, the 5.3 Year 10 textbook, and it starts off by asking us about root 8 minus root 2. Now, the first thing to notice is they're not like surds, so we can't subtract them. That's not root 6 or anything like that. The first thing we need to do is look and say, are there any square numbers that go into anything here? And of course there is. 8 is 4 times 2. 4 is a square number. So I'm going to say that this is the square root of 4 times 2 minus root 2. Okay, well, the square root of 4 times 2 is the square root of 4 times the square root of 2 minus root 2. The square root of 4 is, of course, 2. So I've got 2 root 2's there, and I'm taking away a root 2 here. So 2 root 2, take away 1 root 2, just leaving me with a root 2. And that's that. That's as far as that'll go. Let me pick on one of the questions from further into the one of the parts from further into the question, and we'll have a look at that as well. So I am having a look at question I. Okay. So question I asks us to simplify the square root of 24 plus the square root of 54. Okay. Again, I ask myself, what square numbers go into these? What square number goes into 24? Well, 4 goes into it. 4 is actually the biggest square number that goes into 24. You might say, well, 12 goes into it, but 12 is not a square number. It's got to be a square number. So how many times does 4 go into 24? Well, 6 4s are 24. Sorry. We write the square number first, so we don't write 6 times 4. We write 4 times 6. And with 54, well, what's a square number that goes into 54? 9. 9 times 6 is 54. Okay, so again, every time I see a question that involves surds, I'm always thinking square numbers, square numbers, square numbers. When I see this, I think, what square number is going to that? When I see this, I think, what square number is going to that? And then I write that number as a product of a square number and some other factor. Or write this number as a product of a square number and some other factor. Okay. Then I just break up these. That's root 4 times root 6 plus root 9 times root 6. Well, the square root of 4 is 2. So that's 2 root 6. The square root of 9 is 3. That's 3 root 6. I've got 2 root 6's plus 3 root 6's. Well, that's 5 root 6's. And that's fully simplified. At the end, it's a good idea to look and say, hang on, are there any square numbers that go into that? No, there's not. Well, that's job done. Okay, I hope that helps. If there's any more questions, please post down below or shoot me a question in the Microsoft Teams, and I'll be happy to help out. Our meeting starts very soon, guys, on Microsoft Teams, so make sure you're ready.